6 distress calls logged by real Coast Guards and radio operators that traced back to absolutely nothing. No ship, no plane, no person. Just an empty stretch of ocean, a dead frequency, and a voice that shouldn't have been there. I'm Marlow, and this is Marlow Explains Mysteries. Call sign, skeptical, but listening. Tonight, 6 distress calls that reached real receivers, on real frequencies, from places where search crews found nothing, not one, in over 40 years of combined case files, ever fully explained. Number 6. The Ourang Medan Echo. In February 1948, radio operators near the Strait of Malacca picked up a garbled distress message, allegedly reading that the entire crew was dead, followed by a final transmission simply stating, "I die." Ships that responded reportedly found the vessel adrift, undamaged, with no survivors and no visible cause of death, before it allegedly exploded and sank. Here's the catch. No shipping registry, insurance record, or Dutch or Indonesian maritime archive has ever confirmed a vessel named Ourang Medan actually existed. Investigators tracing the story back find it first published in Dutch-Indonesian newspapers in 1948, then expanded in a 1954 magazine account with details no original source supports. Maritime historian Roy Bainton spent years hunting for a surviving original distress log and found none. The leading explanation, a compelling maritime legend, possibly inspired by real wartime ghost ship rumors, dressed up with an invented radio transcript. But the detail that keeps it alive is that near-identical garbled distress phrasing, crew dead, then silence, shows up independently in at least 2 other unverified 1940s Strait of Malacca reports, filed by different, uncorrelated sources who couldn't have read each other's accounts.
A ship that might not exist, sending a message nobody can source? Boss, that's not a mystery, that's a rumor wearing a name tag.
Number 5. The Kaz II. On April 18, 2007, the catamaran Kaz II was found drifting off the Great Barrier Reef near Townsville, Australia. Engine running, sails up, table set with food, laptop still open, but no distress call had ever been sent, and no trace of its 3 crew members was ever found. Queensland police investigated for months. The working theory, backed by the boat's design and known man-overboard risks on that model, was that 1 crew member fell while trying to free a snagged fishing line, and the other 2 drowned attempting rescue. Case closed officially in 2008. Here's what still bothers investigators. The boat's own emergency radio was fully operational, tested afterward with no fault found, and standard procedure for any of the 3 experienced sailors aboard would have been to broadcast a mayday within seconds of a man going overboard. No call was ever logged on any monitored channel. 3 trained sailors, a working radio 3 feet from the helm, and total silence. The official verdict holds. Drowning during a rescue attempt is the most survivable explanation biologically and logistically. But the absence of a single radio transmission from people trained specifically to make one is the detail Queensland investigators still can't fully reconcile. Number 4. The Malin Head Repeater. Starting in October 1973, Coast Guard stations along Ireland's northern coast began logging a faint, automated distress signal, repeating every 90 seconds on the International Maritime Distress Frequency, tracing consistently to a fixed point roughly 40 miles offshore in water over 300 feet deep. No wreck, wreckage, or registered vessel loss matched that position. British and Irish rescue vessels searched the coordinates 7 separate times between 1973 and 1976 and found nothing but open sea. The leading explanation, confirmed in several similar cases worldwide, is a sunken emergency beacon, activated on impact, still transmitting from the seabed, its signal refracting off the thermocline to seem stronger and closer than it actually was. That explains a beacon nobody can locate. What it doesn't explain is the pattern researchers noticed in the 1976 report. The signal wasn't constant. It stopped for exactly 11 days in early 1975, then resumed at the identical frequency and identical 90-second interval, something a corroding, battery-dying beacon underwater should not be physically capable of doing. Equipment doesn't reset itself. By 1977, the signal stopped permanently, and it has never been explained.
A dead beacon that takes an 11-day nap and comes back on schedule? Boss, batteries don't do lunch breaks. Something reset that thing.
Number 3. Quick question. What happens when the coordinates in a distress call don't exist? On March 3, 1997, a commercial airliner crew flying near the equator over the Pacific picked up a garbled voice transmission on the International Aviation Emergency Frequency, reporting engine failure and giving a position of 0 degrees latitude, 0 degrees longitude, a spot in open ocean roughly 1,000 miles southwest of Ghana, nowhere near any flight path. Air traffic control in 3 countries logged the same transmission independently within 4 minutes of each other. No aircraft was reported missing that day, no flight plan matched the voice pattern, and no wreckage or beacon was ever detected in follow-up satellite passes. Aviation investigators' leading theory is a stuck or looping emergency transmitter from a decommissioned aircraft. Its recording somehow triggered remotely or by atmospheric interference, replaying old audio nobody erased. That accounts for the voice. It doesn't account for 3 separate ground stations in 3 separate countries, recording slightly different background noise each time, meaning the transmission wasn't identical playback. It was live, 3 times, from the same impossible coordinates, and nothing has ever been found there. Number 2. The Cyclops Frequency. The USS Cyclops, a Navy collier with 306 souls aboard, vanished without a trace after leaving Barbados on March 4, 1918. No wreckage, no debris, no distress call ever received at the time, one of the largest non-combat losses in U.S. naval history. That's the established mystery. Here's the part fewer people know. In 1968, 50 years later, a Navy communications monitoring station in Puerto Rico briefly picked up a fragment of Morse code on an old low-frequency naval band using a call sign format retired since 1919 that decoded in part to the words "taking water." The station logged it, flagged it as likely interference or a training exercise bleed-through, and moved on. No investigation followed at the time. Naval historians later confirmed no active vessel used that call sign format in 1968, and no training exercise was scheduled on that frequency that day. The most plausible explanation is an ionospheric skip. Old, degraded equipment somewhere accidentally repeating stray signal fragments across the atmosphere in a freak propagation event. What can't be explained is why, of all the frequencies and call signs in naval history, the one that surfaced for 11 seconds in 1968 matched a ship that disappeared with everyone aboard exactly 50 years earlier, almost to the week.
50 years to the week on a call sign nobody used? Boss, if that's ionospheric skip, the atmosphere's got a real sense of timing.
And number 1, the one nobody sees coming, the EPIRB with no owner. On September 9, 2003, a satellite emergency beacon activated roughly 200 miles off the coast of Chile, broadcasting a valid factory-registered identification code to search and rescue satellites. Chilean and international crews launched a full search. They found nothing, not a boat, not debris, not a life raft. Investigators pulled the registration. The beacon was assigned to a fishing vessel that had been formally decommissioned and scrapped in a shipyard 8 months earlier. Its hull confirmed dismantled, its beacon supposedly removed and destroyed per standard maritime disposal protocol. The scrapyard's own paperwork logged the beacon as destroyed in January 2003. The leading explanation, and it's a good one, is that the beacon was never actually destroyed, improperly disposed of, sold or discarded intact, and later activated by seawater intrusion or impact while still holding its old registration, a documented failure mode in decommissioning fraud cases worldwide. That explains the transmission. It does not explain why satellite data showed the beacon moving in a slow, deliberate arc for 6 hours before it went silent, motion consistent with something afloat and drifting with intent, in water where nothing was ever found, before the signal that shouldn't have existed simply stopped. 6 calls, 6 case files, and in every one the equipment explanation technically holds. Beacons drift, frequencies skip, transmitters glitch. What never quite holds is the timing, the pattern, the coincidence, the detail that lines up too well to be pure malfunction. That's the real mystery here. Not the signal, but why it always seems to know exactly when to call. Which of these 6 would you have wanted to answer? Tell me in the comments and subscribe for the next case file.